In this video, let's take a look at a septic project. We've gone out and located the laterals, existing laterals out here. If I zoom in, you can see that we've identified the D boxes, the septic tank inlet and outlet. We did this with an emlid GNSS receiver. And I want to walk through the steps of just kind of putting this real basic drawing together for you. Remember, you can have any number of drawings in a project, so I could have additional drawings for this client as well. But this is a simple one, and let's just walk through the steps for this. So let's start a new survey and browse to our location. I'll replace the one I had in there earlier. I'm also going to check our coordinate reference system to make sure it matches our location, because remember, we're bringing in geodetic positions, and Traverse BC needs to convert those to coordinates based on this CRS. Now let's OK that. So now we have a new survey. Let's bring in our data. Let's choose File, Import, and we're going to choose the emlid CSV and go into the settings here real quick. I want to turn on details so I get all the information that gets imported, and I can print that out if I want. I want to add the points to a traverse, and then I can tell it whether or not I want to include floats and singles or just the fixed that have the RTK corrections on them. And I'll leave float turned on. Then let's browse to our file. And let's import that. So you just saw the details that Traverse BC created that we asked for. That tells us for each point what got imported and what Traverse BC did with that. And we'll notice right away now that we have a traverse over here that uses the same file name as the traverse name. We're going to open that up and tell Traverse BC that we want to look at it here. I'm going to display information in the RTK format. I actually added attributes in this file, so I want to make sure that we've included the letter to include those in the display here. And then I'm going to tell Traverse BC I want to use imported RTK for my traverse drawing settings. Let's go ahead and open up this traverse. Here are all the points that I have out there. And you can see I used whatever for the point labels, but here's my attributes that say this is lateral 1, lateral 2. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the end of each of those laterals, and I'm going to tell Traverse BC that I want to make those side shots. So this is just one way that I can really quickly tell Traverse BC that I want to start turning those points into a drawing. Now I'm going to do one more thing here real quick. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at see what that looks like. If I open up my drawing view, Traverse BC tells me, give me some information about this drawing. So this is septic location. Anything you call it is just fine. I'm going to use a site template, but you can create your templates, and the template just has your basic information that most of the drawings have in it. And I'm going to choose OK. So now Traverse BC is going to open a drawing and open that template, bring all the template information in, and then do you see my survey right here that I have those points? I'm going to tell Traverse BC, let's go ahead and scale that a little bit differently. 20 feet to the inch, maybe even 15 feet to the inch is good. Yep. And then I can just double click anything that's drawn to open up the traverse drawing settings. And this is how Traverse BC is actually going to draw this for me. The traverse points I have over here are control points. And I tell Traverse BC that I don't want to draw any lines for those, but I do want to draw the points. I want to make sure they're big enough to read. I want to draw a circle. It's also a little bit bigger there. And then let's draw these in red just so they show up really, really nicely. And if I apply that, now you see that here's my inlet, outlet, here's my D box, because I've chosen how to draw those. So these are called traverse drawing settings. It's our quick view technology. Traverse BC actually creates the drawing objects for you, and then you can modify them. Now the side shots, remember that we made each of these laterals a side shot? How do I want to draw those lines? Well, I want to draw the lines with a solid, and I'm going to use a pretty bright color because I'm going to put this over the top of a photo here in just a minute. And then I can tell Traverse BC, no, I don't need any point symbols, just the lines. I still want to label those points and how big. And let's go ahead and just OK that now. And I'm going to see that I now have my laterals drawn in. I have the beginning of each lateral as what we call a control point. Here's my D boxes, and here are my inlets. And I've got it scaled at 15 feet to the inch. That shows up here in the scale. It shows up in the information in the title block. Let's just zoom into that real quick. And I can see that I've got the drawing septic location, The file name is demo.trv. It's got a scale already, the date, revision, the sheet, and I can just come in and change the things that I want to change. So I can come into this name, for instance, just double click that. I actually did a shift and double click. And I can actually come in and say, okay, I'll just put my initials in here because I'm the one that drew that. So you can see it's really fast for me to come in and finish up a drawing like this or get the bulk of it in here. Once I get to this point, I might want to go ahead and save this survey. I can create additional drawings, or I can keep working on this one to get more information in here. If I go to the help topics, Traverse PC brings up our online help system. And if I go into learning TPC, importing GNSS data like we did here, or if I drop down to the emlid GNSS, I'm going to see a short video on what I just showed you, how to bring that data in. And then you're going to see some next steps. So one of the next steps is to add a background photo. And I'm going to do that for you next year. But you can also sort points into traverses based on their codes, like those L1, L2, L3. This is a pretty simple one, so I didn't have to do that. And then I'm already showing you part of this next step as far as walking through a simple drawing. Remember, I brought in that template? So you can click on that and find out, well, how do I put a legend in? Or how do I put a grid on there? We'll cover a lot of that for you. So let's drop back into our survey here real quick. Remember I said we want to bring in a background photo? Let's do that here. So I want to insert a picture, and I did a screen capture from Google Earth. So there's no world file with this. It doesn't really know where it is. It's just a screen capture. So I'm going to tell Traverse PC, bring that in for me, and let's make it pretty good size. In fact, I probably want to go into that picture and do a couple of things with it. So I'm going to double click it, go into Properties. I want to put it on the background layer. I want to make sure it's not a paper space. I want it in survey space. And I'm going to make it about half size. A couple of different ways you can resize it, but this will work for us here. And now I'm going to bring this up a little closer because I want to show you these two circles right here are the septic tank inlet and outlet. And I want to pick some points off of the photo to actually calibrate this. So let's go ahead and select this photo. I'm going to right click and tell Traverse PC I want to calibrate it. So that's the term we use for scaling, rotating, translating so that photo matches the project here. So I'm going to tell Traverse PC I'm going to pick some point pairs. And I'm going to start by saying this point right here on the photo should be this septic tank inlet. Okay? I also know that I've got a point right about here on the photo, which is this first D box. And you can see how Traverse PC is drawing those lines in there. And then I've got a point kind of diagonal right about here, which is that first lateral. Now that's 3 point pairs. That's enough. I'll just right click and Traverse PC is going to compute that calibration and everything it needs to lock this photo on to the project location. Now I sort of picked some points just guessing here, but you see I could have, while I was out in the field, picked up some corners of this driveway, for instance, or this asphalt pavement, and now I would have had very good positions and the fit of that photo would be actually tighter. So if you want to do the work, you can make the photo fit real tight, or you can kind of take some guesses like I did here. But at least now I have a background photo that's locked into my survey. Now the last thing I probably want to do with this is just clean up so that the photo isn't taking up my whole drawing. And I do that by something called clipping. Watch what I'm going to do here. So let's create our clipping area, and I'm going to use a rectangle for that. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to follow the prompts on the bottom that say, now pick a corner, the upper right, lower left, whichever you want to do, and then pick the opposite or diagonal corner. And I'm going to finish that rectangle. Then I'm going to right click it and tell Traverse PC I want to clip survey space objects to that rectangle. And when I'm done clipping, I can hide it. I'm going to say yes. So now Traverse PC has said, this is the only area on the drawing where I want to have my project or my survey information. And I, of course, can pick this up and just move it now anywhere on the page that I want. I haven't changed any coordinates in doing that. So here's a drawing, pretty much ready to go. I can finish up my narrative or put any additional information I want on here, fill in the survey information for the client and address, And I've got this ready to roll. I'm going to save it now. I'm either on to the next project or I'm doing the next deliverable drawing for this project.